Dr. Abdullah, thank you so much for talking to VOA. You've been invited to Pakistan multiple times when you were the chief executive of the country, and for one reason or the other, you always declined. And now your visit is being viewed as a shift. Would you comment on it? What made you change your mind this time around? What changed? Was it Pakistan's behavior or something in your thinking?
I thought that this was the right time. My position as the chairman of the High Council for National Reconciliation, the start of negotiations between us and the Taliban there, and also after the developments in Afghanistan, we were caught into the election issues, post-elections issues, and then I thought that with Prime Minister Imran Khan as the Prime Minister of Pakistan and the leadership, the political leadership and institutions and establishment all saying the same, from the same page, giving messages of support for the peace process and also for the betterment of relations, then I decided it was necessary, and I decided to come here, and I witnessed a very positive atmosphere at different levels, even at the level of the...
And you met all kinds of people, and the civilian side and the military side. How did you met the Pakistan's army chief recently. What did the two of you discuss in that meeting?
Earlier also, when General Bajwa visited Kabul, we had a meeting there. And he expressed his support for the peace process, and also for betterment of relations between both countries and further strengthening of the relations. So we talked on the same basis. We thought that it's the right time that we do in Afghanistan and also in Pakistan all the right efforts. So peace is materialized in our country, dignified peace, durable, sustainable peace. This will be in the interest of Afghanistan and the interest of Pakistan in the whole region. While the region has gone through many sufferings throughout the past 42 years, and then we can clearly see how much we can benefit from peace and stability in Afghanistan for this generation of Afghans, for the generations which are born during the war, and for our future generations. We should leave a legacy behind. It's not easy, achieving, very difficult. It will be complicated. There will be ups and downs, but there is no other solution but to go through that path.
You thanked Pakistan for its facilitation of the talks, but in your meetings with the civilian and the military leadership, anything specific that you asked for that you think will further help the peace process? What can Pakistan do further than what they've already done?
I would say that using all the influence, public messaging and otherwise, that this is an opportunity, and Taliban and Afghan government sitting together, talking about the future. There is a momentum back home, and in Afghanistan, in support of the peace process. At the same time, the level of violence is too high, and reduction in violence in a significant way, significant manner is important in order to keep that momentum. So our point was that apart from bilateral issues, that too many other things we can do in bilateral relations, including things which affects the people directly, like yesterday, the announcement, the decision by the cabinet of Pakistan about visa policy. It will help the situation. It will help the people of Afghanistan will benefit from it, and it will help two people's relations. There are issues in relations to trade and other areas, trade, transit, the opportunities for connectivity, and all of that. At the same time, peace is a priority, and we talked about it, how we can we can boost those efforts.
Let's talk about another neighbor. Iran was not present at the opening ceremony. So, question A, why wasn't it invited? And then question B, what's its role currently in the process, if any, or what role should it play in the process?
Iran was invited. The Islamic Republic of Iran was invited for their own concerns that they had. They choose not to participate, but we have interactions with them. We engage them on the issue of peace, and they are supportive of the peace process as a whole. Sometimes their relations with the United States, which is under a lot of tensions at the moment, those things affect their decisions in participating in a conference or not. But as a whole, they are supportive of the peace process. And as a neighboring country, as a country which is hosting millions of Afghan refugees, and they have legitimate concerns, they have legitimate interests as well, we continue to encourage them, and also they have some influence. They have some contacts with some groups of the Taliban. All of these could be opportunities, used as opportunities for supporting the process.
India is not a direct neighbor of Afghanistan, but India is very close to Afghanistan. Why is India important in this process? Because Mr. Khalilzad kept going to New Delhi again and again. What is India's role in this peace process?
India has been helping Afghanistan in the past 20 years and even before that, and invested in peace, in stability. In instability in Afghanistan, continuation of the fighting in Afghanistan, as a result of which the terrorist groups like Al-Qaeda, ISIS, and others take advantage of the situation, it will hurt everybody. It had hurt different countries one way or another before September 11th, and then September 11th was a very vivid reminder to all of us. So no country in this region, in the neighborhood of Afghanistan, can ignore the situation in Afghanistan, and everybody has a stake in peace and stability, and that is we will keep our engagement with all countries of the region, because eventually there is a lot at stake. God forbidding, continuation of the war will affect everybody adversely, and God willing, with lots of efforts and patience, achieving peace will be good for the countries around Afghanistan and beyond.
And Moscow also was one of the first countries to hold an unofficial but public meeting between Taliban and other Afghans. Where does it stand in the process now?
So they are, again, in general, they are supportive of the peace process. Russian Federation, their special envoy was there in Doha, in contact with both sides, Afghan government and also Taliban movement. But sometimes, because of their bilateral relations with other countries, they have their own reservations, they have their own way of conduct. At the same time, I have no doubt in my mind that they also want to see peace prevailing in Afghanistan. And that, I call it a broad understanding. Consensus might be a stronger word, but a broad understanding in the region and wider region for support of the peace efforts.
There are reports that several politicians in Afghanistan and political factions are contacting Taliban on their own, on the sidelines, separate from the team in Doha. Do you fear that the Taliban might start parallel negotiations with different Afghan factions?
If the right messages are communicated separately as well, it's understandable. But at the same time, we need to maintain cohesion of the efforts, and I will urge those politicians to contribute to that, which will be helpful. At the end of the day, everybody wants to see peace prevailing in Afghanistan, majority of the people of Afghanistan. in the politicians that I know, and they are there, either in Kabul or throughout the country, they are all supportive. Which way is better? I would say that the more we are unified within the country, in the Islamic Republic of Afghanistan, the more we coordinate amongst ourselves. And the aim of the High Council for National Reconciliation is establishment of this, is also to bring that understanding. The more we are unified, the better it will be to get everybody's view together for pushing for common interest of the Afghans.
You're talking about unity, and yet the membership of the High Council is not final yet. And critics are saying that this makes the Taliban team look more united and the Afghans look more divided.
This side, it is very diverse. It's much more sophisticated. These are the people which have exercised democracy, with all its ups and downs, at least in the past 20 years. They share the common values, and as I mentioned earlier, the reason for establishment of the High Council is to bring them together. But they have expressed their support for direct negotiations. I have no doubt in my mind, and those are mainly technical issues rather than major political obstacles towards achieve it. This will also happen, the formation of the council.
Do you have a time frame in mind?
Oh yes, we are working on it, and most of the work is done, and that's not like prevented us from sending a unified team to Doha in the start of negotiations. But if consultations are needed for more consensus building, we will give it time.
You also said that you've asked your team to be flexible so this opportunity is not wasted. In the last 20 days of the negotiations that have already happened, have you seen a similar flexibility on the part of the Taliban, or are they being more stubborn?
I would say that we are all learning how to talk to one another with the Taliban, and knowing one another's language. I'm not talking the language spoken in the country, but the way that we communicate. We had only fought against one another for nearly 3 decades, and now we are sitting together. My expectations were that both sides will show flexibility, but it will come.
And let me ask one last question, which is, if the United States decides to withdraw all its forces from Afghanistan in the near future, how will that impact the process?
It will have an impact on the situation in Afghanistan, but hopefully we will be able to work out amongst ourselves. The United States is there because of the threats posed against them September 11th and prior to that, from Afghanistan, emanating from Afghanistan, and they are there for the past. They've been there for the past 19 years. They have made sacrifices alongside the people of Afghanistan. They have contributed to the well-being of the people of Afghanistan, and they will go to decide on the basis of their own judgment of their interest or threats posed for peace and stability. Nobody can force them to stay or to leave. At the same time, they are very keen at this stage to give further push for the talks in peaceful end to the conflict, which is welcomed. They are looking at the situation, peace, and making peace in negotiations with a sense of urgency. I would say that it's even more urgent for the Afghans, which are suffering on a daily basis, and that is opportunity which comes with that urgency. But eventually it is us that we have to find a way of working together, living together in peace without posing a threat to our own citizens or to the neighborhood or to the rest of the international community.
Dr. Abdullah, thank you so much once again.
You're welcome.